Is Arman versus Dariush the biggest fight night of the year, or is Dariush washed up? Before we get into that, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe as we have brand new videos every single week. Do you think this has potential to be one of the biggest fight cards of the year?
It's definitely one of the biggest fight night cards in recent memory, because you look at it and you think, oh, I might tune in for that, if I'm still up. And then you see the co-main, oh, I think I'll probably like to watch that. This just gets better and better. And then eventually, you're sat up by yourself at 3 a.m. covered in Doritos watching the entire card.
Watching your favourite fighter get knocked out and you go to bed in tears and your wife asks you what wrong. Nothing, love, nothing.
We know
it's so
that
depressing. It's too depressing being a European fight fan. It's literally like, oh, awful. But the quality of fights on this fight night is actually quite insane when you think about it. Like, so we've got Sean Brady versus Kelvin Gastelum. I mean, that's an exciting fight on its own. I could see that main event in a fight night. Never mind opening one up. But with Kelvin going down away and he's looking really healthy, actually, do you think he could have some success in welterweight?
I think he could if he actually gets into the cage. He seems to always have his biggest trouble seem to be before the fight or preparation for a fight, whether it's an injury, an infection, whatever the hell it seems to be, like dog died, something like that. It seems to be, I'm excited for a Kelvin fight once he's in the cage. I can't invest in it anymore. I can't spend my excitement waiting for him to get there. But I do believe that Kelvin, it could look a lot better at welterweight than what it did at middleweight. It was kind of up and down there for a little while.
And that's the thing. I think Kelvin's got a lot of potential and he's really skilled, but I just think middleweight's too big for him, because he's quite a short guy, isn't he? He's quite small. I don't think he's 5'11". Is he like 5'9", 5'10", something like that? So he's not big. So we could see him do quite well at welterweight. Don't forget he was going to fight Shavkat, which would have been a very tricky fight for him. So I think he might have dodged a bullet there, but we'll have to wait and see. But we could easily see him fight like Ian Gary or someone next year, win, move up. Because don't forget, Kelvin's a big name. There's no denying that he's a big name. He could move up, maybe fight for a title within 2-3 fights if he does well, right?
Kelvin definitely could. I mean, he's got the name value, but it's not like a household name value.
No.
It's more, like he's the guy that probably gave Adesanya his toughest fight, apart from when he's got knocked out. But, like...
And dominated by Strickland, but apart from that... And...
yeah, and that's the key word, dominated, isn't it? But I think that's the thing to remember is, like, since that fight, Kelvin's been up or down, and you think, well, look, he's knocked out Michael Bisping. That was in 2017. When someone's highlight reel gets to become like over 5 years old, you start thinking, well, are they that same fighter anymore? So, I mean, maybe this will be the fight where we find out if Kelvin Gastelum is back or not, because Sean Brady, he's no joke either.
No, the real dangerous fight, and it's going to be a really, really fun fight either way. But rather than moving down, we've got someone moving up. Figure is moving up to fight Rob Font. Again, the exact same question. Do you think Figure could do well in this division? Because don't forget, he's a former champion as well. So, is he a 2-time champion? I don't know. I can't remember. He might be. It got swapped around like a hot potato, that belt. So I've genuinely forgot. Did Marino and him fight 500 times or 2 times? I don't know. It was a ridiculous amount. But he's a former champion, and if he can do well here, we could see him right at the top of this division really, really quick.
100%. It's one of those. This seems like when someone swaps divisions, this seems like the fairest way to do it, because he hasn't just got given a title shot going off merit alone. Figure is fighting one of the top contenders in Rob Font, and if he does this, maybe there'll be talks of him getting a title shot. But hell, Figure's a hell of a fighter. I love to watch him. I love to watch him fight at flyweight. Hopefully, it's the same in this weight class as well. And I hope he kicks Rob Font's ass. And I don't know why, Dwayne. He's just one of those fighters I do not like.
Oh, no. You don't like Paul lasagna face. What's he done wrong to you?
Hey, I didn't go for the bullying technique. I didn't go down that road, Dwayne.
Yeah, but I think it will be a fun fight. But Rob Font's dangerous, though. I think people forget that. He loses to the top guys, but he's one of those fighters that can, batter someone on one night and then get destroyed the other night, kind of like Michael Johnson or whatever. He's that sort of fighter. So he could do really well. But I think Figgy's going to get it done. And I'd love to see him jump up, maybe fight someone like Jan eventually or Marab, go up. But I worry he's just too small for that division. There's some really tall guys there, which is wild to talk about bantamweight, isn't it? But when you've got people like, Sean O'Malley and what's his name? The other, what's his name?
Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah, Aljamain Sterling's thick and
Corey Sandhagen.
I nearly called him Sean Sandhagen. I was like, what's his name? Oh yeah, Corey but he's massive as well. So it's
this
tricky.
Is a strange thing though. When do we don't often talk about when fighters move divisions? There's like, oh, is he going to be too small? Usually it's like, too big. I mean, unless you're Alex Pereira. Then we're just saying, is he too big for a heavyweight? Does he have to cut weight to go into heavyweight? Because he's just a giant of a man. But yeah, Figgy, I am rooting for him because I think, if he gets through Rob Font, that opens up the bantamweight division to so many more exciting fights as well, rather than just potential rematches. We've seen this many times before, and I think bantamweight could be a really exciting division if we don't go down that route. I don't want to see rematches again and again and again, and it's already starting to get there. So come on, Figgy, let's revive this division. Throw yourself in there. Do a Sean Strickland and throw a spanner in the works and beat Rob Font and go for a title shot.
I'd love that. And for me, bantamweight has potential to be one of the best divisions. It's got real killers in there, some proper legends. You've got Dominic Cruz knocking about. And it upsets me that we never got Cruz versus Aldo. I don't know how they didn't do that. You've got two legends in the division at the same time. I thought, what, you're not going to put them together? But it is what it is. I've missed out on that fight, and it's never going to happen. But then we have Jalin Turner has stepped up to fight Bobby Green. Dan Hooker is out due to breaking his arm again. Are you disappointed that we don't get to see Dan Hooker on this card?
I like to watch Dan Hooker, but I'm not. I don't. Like all my eggs aren't in that basket. To be honest, with whenever he's on a card, because I always think there's something usually a bit more interesting going on. But Dan, I think he's a little inconsistent as well. I mean, it's easy for me to say who's never stepped into the cage once in my life, but he's either amazing. Do you remember against Dustin Poirier in 2020? That could have been fight of the year contender.
It's one of the best fights I've seen. Yeah, so good.
And there's Michael Chandler that knocked him out in the first round. Then there's Islam who beat him in 45 seconds or whatever the hell it was, something like that. So it's like kind of inconsistent. We were saying when he got his win, when was it, about a year ago? It was like, oh, that's him back in the win column now. This is him getting back to it. It's a bit inconsistent for me to get really excited for it. I know you're a big Dan Hooker fan.
Yeah.
So maybe the question's better geared towards yourself.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm gutted. I was really, really looking forward to seeing him back, but it just seems it was too early. He's broke his arm in the same place at the same point. It's like, well, it's clearly too early. You shouldn't have been training back yet. Should have looked for next year. He said he's going to look at returning for UFC 300, so that could be fun, but we'll get on to that into a minute. But let's talk about the actual fight itself. We've got Jalin Turner versus Bobby Green. If Bobby Green gets a win here, this could really see him move up quite high in that sort of lightweight division, even though he's fighting a lower opponent. It's like, well, maybe he fights Gamrot next, or maybe the winner of Dariush and Arman. We could see him up in sort of with these title contenders. Can you see him moving up and fighting someone bigger in that division quite soon?
Really can, to be honest. Bobby Green seems to be one of them. He's been a name that's rattled, just from a fan's perspective, he's a name that's rattles around a little bit. And when he gets a win, and it comes up, all right, I see Bobby Green one. And before you know it, he's nipping on the heels of like top contenders. Exactly. Like if he gets through Turner, then definitely, he could definitely do it. Was Jalin Turner Dan Hooker's last fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I do remember, yeah. So if Bobby gets through him, hell, we could definitely see him, like you say, Gamrot, someone like that, to really step up in competition. And before you know it, we could be talking about Islam versus Bobby Green too.
Oh, God. I'm not sure I actually want to see that again. Poor Bobby, he just got battered, But the thing is, when you step up on short notice to fights, I don't want to talk about it, actually. I'll start thinking about Volk and I'll tear up and get upset. Let's forget about fighting Islam on short notice. So in the main event, let's move quickly on. We have Dariush versus Arman. It feels strange, though, with Dariush, because it kind of feels like he was on sort of steps to being this big lightweight fighter all of a sudden. You know, we all picked him to beat Oliveira. It felt like, yeah, he's got fairly decent striking. He's a good, strong grappler, but he's just too slow, isn't he? You know, and he got caught, got battered. Do you think we'll ever see Dariush up as a top contender again?
I think he's got a lot of work to do if it was to get back to that stage, because Dariush is one of those that people have been calling for him to get a title shot or at least a number one contender spot for a long time now. And as soon as Charles knocked him out in that first round, I've never seen a hype train crash quicker than that. It's literally the second Dariush was still seeing stars, and fans were saying, "Oh well, he's washed. He just doesn't have it anymore, does he? Charles is the king. Charles versus Islam 2. Let's erect a statue in a dog park for Charles Oliveira." Well, poor Dariush is getting stretched out and asking how many fingers he can see. It sucked for Dariush, but at the same time, that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? You know, like as soon as he steps up in competition, Charles Oliveira, you know, them head kicks were dangerous, and then eventually TKO'd him in the first round. I think he's got a lot of work to do.
100%. He's really, really got to take some big steps, because beating Arman's not enough to be looking at contender. You know, then he needs to fight someone like Dustin or Justin and really, really move up. And that's the thing with the lightweight division, isn't it? It feels there's all these great names coming up, like Gamrot, Faziev, Arman, Dariush, Bobby Green, for example, even Dan Hooker, and then they step up, and then people remember how good Justin Gage is, how good Dustin Poirier is, how good Charles Oliveira is, and how good Islam Makhachev is. These guys are the cream of the crop in one of the best divisions in the world. So to step up, you've got to be amazing. So it's really, really tricky for people like Dariush, and I just don't think we'll sort of ever see him in that picture again. Overall, though, I'm really looking forward to this fight night. I think the winner of the main and the co-main can really step up in that lightweight division, and there's a lot of stakes. Thank you for watching. If you can like, comment, and subscribe, it really does help us out.